Okay. So welcome to today's class or lectures. And so we have been, as I said, we have, Anna and Yusuf joining us today. And I think that we are at the, what I would describe the core of product management, right? This is the part of product management that is always ongoing. It's never ending. It's very iterative. It is the crux of the entire product management that you'll be undertaking, right? So at the beginning of this course, we looked at things like, what is a product manager, right? We defined who a product manager is, and we went deeper into understanding the different types of product management. Shantae, I'm just going over this for their benefit.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah. So where we are at this moment, looking at customer development, it is something that you will find yourself doing all the time because, product management is dealing with the who, the what, and the why of the product that you're building. And it has a lot of moving parts to it. And it is very important that you have a finger on a pulse on what is going on in the company or a startup that you're a part of. And one thing that you will learn is that product management, it's very intuitive and it's very applicable to so many parts, so many industries. Product management, as we can see now, tech is dominating the world. We find product management origination in software engineering, right? There's a lot of product management that goes on. Then we also find product management in healthcare. So software is, we have health tech, we have fintech, which is financial. So banks are investing in a lot of technology, and product managers are needed to manage different facets of the product. So we have fintech, we have health tech or med tech, we have ed tech, that is technology and education. Most schools have used it. I've used something called Blackboard, and the variants of Blackboard, like Schoology, there's Thinkific, and so many of them that are used to manage what we call MOOCs, right? Online collaboration tools for bringing remote students together to study. And if anything, the pandemic has made that a mainstay where, people like Yusuf went through graduating whilst being in a lockdown, which I don't think was that much of fun because you have to be extra disciplined to, be in these technology enhanced education or virtual education. So we find tech in education, we find it in healthcare, we find it in finance. Also, it's found in civil engineering, where there are product managers that build products that help engineering firms run their businesses more smoothly, right? We find it even in the oil industry. I was telling Anna previously that I coached a gentleman from Baker Hughes who, basically works there in the IT department. There's a lot of tech that supports the upstream or downstream of that company in making sure that their stakeholders can view the rigs remotely from their offices. So they have technology hooked up that you can log in and see how the oil rigs are doing offshore of the Gulf Coast or Pacific or wherever they may be. So these are all enhancing the power of technology to basically enhance human life. So as a product manager, you're only limited by the depth of your imagination and your what we call subject matter expertise or domain knowledge. So if you have domain knowledge in health, you can parlay that into becoming a technical product manager in health. Or if you're in finance, or if you have a lot of experience in banking, because we have so many banking applications, we have all these tools that are at disposal. And then there's something called building technology, where we have software called Beam that is a central repository for basically receiving all the like quotes from the builders, from the architects, for the contractors, the construction workers. It manages everything. And when you want to generate proposals to be signed and approved, all these are factored in. So there are product managers that build that. Even in the legal field with lawyers, there's software for case management, right? For intaking clients, billing them, understanding what kind of basically understanding what kind of case they have. When you go to, like, Yusuf, you go into the court, they have now, some courts are very high tech. They do have, when you go to court, everything that happens in the court is recorded, and they also have transcripts. They are linked to the Department of Motor Vehicles, or to get all your abstract. They don't have to like call and have things faxed to them. Basically, the judge's screen, they can find all these things. The prosecutor has access to that. So technology is just pervasive and prevalent in so many facets of life. So as a product manager, you basically have your pick of what it is that you want to do with this skill set. Welcome, Faloni.
Hi.
So I'm just doing a quick recap, and then I will turn over to the homework that the assignments. I hope you're done, because you guys work collaboratively. All right, I'll take that as a yes, that you're done. So we can go through that. And I do understand it was a bit involving, because we covered a lot of ground. And like I said, that is a very core part of product management. That's why I want to take that time to really go deeper and deep, because when you become a product manager, you find yourself doing that a lot. Okay, so I'm backtracking and trying to catch Yusuf and Anna up to speed with product management and what to expect and all that. So the analogy that I've always given is that as a product manager, you are the conductor of the orchestra. You don't necessarily have to know how to play the piano, the violin, or the drums, or any other instrument, but you are the one that conducts. You set the cadence, you set the tempo. You have a roadmap. In this case, the roadmap is the music score sheet that you find. Conductors have that on their lectern or the podium, and they know how the song is going. They know the time signature. They know when the violin is supposed to come in. They know when the drums are supposed to come in, the flutes, all the instruments. And the instrumentalists are versatile in their respective instruments. They're very good at that. The drummer can drum, the pianist can play the piano, the violinist, everybody knows what they do. And they all have some sort of a sheet in front of them, but they don't know what others are supposed to play. And you, the product manager, is incumbent on you to bring them all together to create a symphony. In this case, a software that is pleasing, or in that case, usable. So you are at the center and the crux of the whole show. And the product manager, you are a leader. It's a leadership role. The success of the product you share with everybody, but the failure is always only you, right? Because when it's a success, everybody comes in and say, wow, you guys did a great job. And when the product fails, they said you failed, because you are the conduit, you are the channel of communication. You are the intersection between engineering, design, business, and the user, right? And if the company is bigger, there'll be analytics team, there'll be legal, because some products need to get legal clearance. Some products need to get some sort of vetting before they can go live, and all that good stuff. So these are things that a product manager almost always needs to be conversant and always know about. So I'm touching up on these real quick. So you have to disambiguate, that is, remove any doubt or uncertainty, right, from the team. In this in the business world, time and money are scarce resources. Even if you have a lot of money, time is not unlimited, right? When you spend so much time building something, your competitors are now waiting to see if you're going to launch or not. So you as a product manager needs to be doing your research, understanding where the product is, understanding, have a pulse on your customer base and your quote unquote your how do you call it, competitive landscape. You understand who your competitors are, who are the incumbents, what are their strengths, what are their weaknesses, what are the opportunities in this space, what are the threats to your existence. I've given so many examples of companies that have gone bankrupt or defunct because they just assumed that they were the industry player for the long go, so they didn't spend time doing customer research and development. And example is Kodak. Nobody hears of Kodak right now. You know, Kodak could have seen that things were shifting into digital, and they should have bought some digital camera and maybe camera with your own phone, or bought Instagram or something, right? Instead of Facebook, you know, taking Instagram for 1 billion, Kodak could have bought it for 3 billion. And today, Instagram is adding 24 billion annually to Facebook's, you know, total revenue. Think about that. They bought it for 1 billion, but it's a cash cow for them. It brings about 35% of Facebook's, well, the company is now called Meta, but you know, it generates about 24 million, no, billion actually, of revenue, because people are sponsoring ads, people are doing all these things, posting filters, you name it. That's how much value that it's bringing. That's why Facebook makes the strategic move to acquire a company like WhatsApp. Companies like Adobe, I told you, well, not the class, but my team, Adobe just definitely acquired a design tool called Figma for 20 billion, right? Because Figma was so easy to use that people stopped using Adobe's Photoshop, InDesign, and all the stuff that they had, because those, you know, they were a bit Herculean to learn how to use and be effective. Figma just made the barrier to entry very low, that it became the industry standard. And they're like, if you can't beat them, join them. So they acquired them for 20 billion, because they're looking at it that it's a debt they're taking on, but it will ensure that Adobe does not become a thing of the past or a dinosaur. And this is through customer development and customer research. So we have gone through a lot of these, building our way slowly to where we have conducted market analysis. We've conducted, you know, our market research. So some of the things that we've talked about include understanding our user as well. So not just, you know, understanding the different types of product management, both internal or external, and the type of business they serve, B2B or B2C, that is business to business or business to consumer. We went through the ecosystem, that is how we examine product development life cycle through the lens of the stakeholders that we work with, and how you work with data to inform your decision making. Also, we talked about aligning with business needs, because product managers need to work in tandem with business needs and validate or invalidate the business assumptions, because the CEO, the director of product, the VPs will come in and have their own ideas, but it's incumbent on you, the product manager, to just not be a short order cook. You're not there to just take orders and then go execute. You should have a backbone. You should be able to have an opinion, be opinionated, that you can say, yes, I hear that you want to do X, Y, Z, but the data that I've collated does not support your thesis or your hypothesis. So that is the work of the product manager, to be the voice of reason, because engineers can code, they can develop, they can do all these things, but they have to be building the right thing, because software engineering doesn't come cheap. Product managers on average are making 120, 160, 180, some making 250 and up. So in a company where you have 20 of them, you're burning through cash. Engineers are also making six figures. Engineering managers are all making money. So you cannot spend resources just building something and hope that they will come and buy or use it. So the product manager has to go in there and conduct all the research findings, and it has to align with the business needs. So you have to ensure that the product that you're planning and prioritizing are connected to the overall business needs and the objectives and key results, which are the OKRs. And then we segue into understanding the market, right? Understanding the behavior of the market, the emerging trends, identifying gaps and opportunities in those market, looking at the competitors. And then we are at the customer research space, where we did a market analysis, market research, the ways to capture information, where to find that data and all that. And then we are on the customer research, which is a place where we spend a lot of time, which I think there are a few more areas we still need to touch on. Like after getting all the data, you don't just get the data and that's it. You have to also be able to act on the data that you receive, right? Because know how to get the data and make sense out of that data. So I believe it's important to go through these exercises to understand these various, how do you call it, nuances of product, and then be able to know how to navigate. Because when it comes to doing like writing user stories, I've shared with you in the past on a product that we've been building internally called Bubbles. And when you look at the product roadmap, the product roadmap is based off of the research that we did, the customer development. So from the customer development, you unearth a lot of questions. You unearth a lot of, you have to validate or invalidate your assumptions. So customer development is always ongoing. It is critical because that is what will help you as a team to really understand what you should be building or what you should not be building. Any questions so far?
I chimed in late. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
So are we going to review the material that was given to us, or no, we're not going to go through a re-review? What did you decide?
So, no, we're going to do that. I'm just trying to catch up.
Okay.
Anna and Yusuf joined us. They are recent, well, Yusuf is more of a recent graduate. And Anna is, basically an intern with the company. So I'm getting her up to speed. She's also in the market. Yeah. So, I mean, Anna, you can introduce yourself briefly. So I think we have most of the team here. I already did, but she can introduce herself. Go ahead.
Oh my God. Okay, so I'm a project manager trying to transition to product management, because I've done a good bit of product management in my almost 15-year career, but I want to specialize in product management in the technical field now. So that's why I'm here.
Thank you, Anna. Yusuf, you want to introduce yourself real quick to the class?
Yeah, hey guys, my name is Yusuf Morsi. Recently graduated from NJIT. I think we mentioned that. And I'm just looking to break into the tech world, and I'm decided. I talked to Nathan, and we decided, it'd be a good idea for me to, join the class and see what's going on. So I mean, so far, what you're saying makes sense. So I appreciate you for the opportunity for letting me, to sit in on the class.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Okay.
Quick question, Nathan. I'm gonna
Yeah.
sign in twice because I got to be on my cell phone to make a quick pickup run from school.
Sure.
Lastly, I don't know when or if you ever showed one. It would be great if you could show a work flow, I don't know, you probably have shown it because I'm visual. I don't know about everybody else, but just how we connect and go from one thing to another when we're building.
Yes.
That
Yeah,
would be helpful.
I do have that. So, I'll recap again. So because we had a lot of a lot was shared in the beginning.
Yeah,
And we just kept going and going. There's still some more because, I was just saying the beginning stuff, I wouldn't say that it's not necessary. It was just this foundation
it was
to
just an
now.
overview. Okay, gotcha.
Exactly. Because the stuff that we did, learning about the types of customer product managers and all that stuff, those are great. Understand the landscape, but this customer development that's what will make or break you as a product manager. You find
Mhm.
yourself in all your interviewing, in your day-to-day work, this is the stuff you'll be doing, right? That's why there's a whole lot, right? So I'm just using this opportunity to just touch up on the things that we've done so
Gotcha.
far.
An
So
overview.
overview. Then we will go into have the homework. I'm sure you're done with the homework.
No, I'm still working on it, but I'm done with a lot of it. I've
Okay.
had some interviews this week.
Not a problem. Not a
Okay.
problem. So, okay. Yeah, so those are, and I also want to give that time because, one thing I'm showing this. All right, so I'm showing the screen, which is like, it is the, how do you call it? The product roadmap. I don't know if you can see it. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, I can see it. Yes.
Okay. So this is an example of what we call a product road, backlog. So, and everything you see here, something like this, is the user story, right? And the user stories are like what you tell the story of how the product should be, how it should operate, and what it takes to build it. So how do you capture all these user stories? You gather all this from your customer development, right? That's why this section is really critical. So I'm actually glad that Anna and Yusuf joined around this time because they haven't, even though they've probably missed the beginning foundation stuff, that they can catch up easily. But this is the real meat of product management. So everything you see here, and I mean, Shantae and Simone and Feloni, you're pretty much familiar with Bubbles. Same with Anna, at least you've been around it a few. So Bubbles is an app, a startup that is like DoorDash or Uber Eats, but it's for the laundry service or the laundry industry. And it's actually in production and being built as we speak. And, so this is an example of how our customer, we're able to come up with these. For example, we have, if you look at the user, we have the user app onboarding. That's an epic, and we have several stories. There's the splash screen, there's the onboarding sign up, the user sign up, the sign in, verification screen, all that. So all this information will be captured once you're doing the customer development, right? Because the customer development is where it helps you to understand why, what you should be building. Because the product manager, you're dealing with what to be built, who you're building it for, why you're building it for. And then in some cases, the how is usually with the engineering. They figure out how they're going to build it. But you guide the who, the what, the why, and sometimes, the when. But the when is usually in tandem with project managers, because project managers deal with the time, budget constraints, and all that. So project management is a function of product management. So, but product management encompasses all that because it does the strategic aspect of thinking through and the development and the research, collecting the data. That's why we talked about the research part, where you look into understanding your users. So if you're empathetic, people who have a listening ear, like there's a saying, there's a reason why we have, 2 ears and 1 mouth. So we have to listen twice and speak once. So as a product manager, having that listening empathy to understand your users, because engineers can write code, but one of the days when engineers are the archetypical, long flowing hair, antisocial, works in a basement, some dark room, and just writes software in a green screen with a black background, and just write some software. It's hard to use, but hey, you have to figure out to use because that's the only thing out there, and people have to learn to use it. This day and age, the the customers are savvy and they know what they want, and they can decide, they basically can say, you know what, I do not want you anymore. I want to work with, when, one product is not working for you, you can go to the next. Like with airline industry, I can say, I'm never going to fly Frontier anymore, Spirit anymore. I can go to United, I can go to Delta, I can go to American Airlines or Southwest, you name it. Software, there's so many types out there too. So people have choices to pick which one they want. That's why you, the product manager, has to make sure that whatever you're building is what is, is important to the business. So all these things that I wrote here, there's so many of them that we captured. This is the backlog items. We have the current stuff that we're working on, and these are done, but they have to be integrated. So these are the stuff here, and then we have the current things to do. You see the to-do items here, and I'm able to assign them to my team. So I need to learn how to prioritize all this. And where do I get all this information from? I get it all from my customer development, my research. Also by when you do interviews, when you query and you do surveys, you do focus groups. And there are so many techniques to gather all this information. So that's what makes product management very exciting, because no one day is like the other. So there are days where you're collecting data, and there are days where you're analyzing the data. There are days that you're prioritizing the data and assigning story points to it. There are days where you're now figuring out which ones make sense and which one to cut out. And there are days where you're teaching your team, getting subject matter experts, getting buy-in with your stakeholders, your VP, your director of whatever, the executive vice president. And sometimes you have to deal with the legal counsel of your company. What are the privacy policies concerning this? What was the legality? One company I worked for, their product is rolled up into 25 states. So the laws in Nevada are different from the laws in Pennsylvania and from the laws in Wyoming. So you, the product manager, has to have that insight. And if you don't know where to find it, you need to be able to figure out where to find them. So I'm just going through this real quick. We've done most of these before, but I'm touching on them again. And I feel that there's no need to try and rush and get to teaching you how to write user stories when you have not really mastered the customer development aspect of product management. Because when you have the data, you also have to know how to run experiments to weed out, because there's a lot of what we call signal, right? The signal and noise. There's a lot of noise because you got a lot of data, but how do you get the signal or out of the noise? So you have to conduct experiments based on the data you have. You have qualitative data, and then you have quantitative data, and then you extrapolate from that and do an inference and make a data-driven decision on why we should be using this particular API or why we shouldn't be doing things this way. Even you'll be surprised that there's color psychology, right? There are things like, why do we have to use blue, right, over a certain color? Because color theory comes in for different products. When you're doing products that are geared towards a female population, there's certain colors you have to use. The banking, there's some colors that evoke trust. And if you're doing something for the entertainment industry or for children, you have to have a lot of primary colors and very colorful and playful, right? So all these things come to mind as a product manager when you're building products. So you have to be conversant, right? And then when you prioritize them, they all come onto this board. So in this current sprint, we've finished a lot of the to-dos. We have stuff that are still in progress. And then we have like only 2 items that are in progress, but we have about 38 items that needs integration. So Anna is privy to that. I think Shantae is also privy to some of it. We have a new team that has taken up all these integration stuff to finish up. Then as a product manager, as they're building, I will come back here and I have to prioritize what needs to be built next. So this is the backlog items. So when I close this, the 27 issues left, there's 42 out there that some are done and the rest 2 of them are done, 2 needs integration, and 2 of them are yet to be done.
So quick question, Nathan. You said you have to prioritize them. So tell us, how are you going to decide how you're going to prioritize?
Okay.
Based on what?
Sure. I'm touching up on that. I'm going to tell you, but there's another section or class that goes much deeper, right? So just for the, because you asked, I'm going to explain real quick to you. When you're prioritizing these, like the backlog items, you're prioritizing them against a few things. There's looking at the business need, right? What are the business requirements right this moment? And also, what are the customer needs? Those are some of the things you look at. Now, there's something called, there are frameworks that we use. One of them is called the RISE framework. So I'm just touching up on that, but I'm going to go deeper and when we get to that class, because the customer development is gathering all this data. And then when we come to the prioritization, the RISE framework stands for RICE. So the R in the RISE framework means you pick up the things or the products user stories that has the most reach, which is reach most of the customer base or covers most of your business needs and customer needs, right? That's the reach. Now, the I is the impact. How much impact will that feature have? So an example would be when you're looking to ship a product, right? And then you need to include a chat feature versus putting on like changing colors. So there's a request to change the color from, say, from green to fuchsia or some color, or to change a button. But you realize that the chat feature, if it's not present, the users will not find value. Obviously, that takes precedence over wasting time to change the buttons, right? Or adding some drop-down feature that animates and pops around with a genie effect. Yes, a cool and nice to have, but it isn't really impacting the company, right? Or the user base. So the R is the reach. How many users or people can you reach with this change? The impact you're making. And the C is you have to look at the, do you have the capability, right? That is the current team that you have. Do you have the requisite skills to get this done? And then also, you have to look at the E is the engineering effort that it will take to get that done. So you assign numbers, right? So you have to see here, we have 4 hours. This is 1 day. So this is an hour and a half. This is 6 hours. This is 4 hours. So we prioritize them. So this is like the analytics dashboard for the merchant app. We have the support, we have the FAQ. So we prioritize them on things that are related, the things that have dependencies. And then, so we look at the reach, the impact, the how much you take, the engineering effort. So if it will take much longer, do you have the capability? Do you have the resources, right? Those are like going more deeper and assigning numbers to them. So if you assign numbers to them and it scores itself out, and we can come up with a scoring modality that tells us, okay, this feature has a higher score and it's more of a higher priority. But a quick, dirty way to get it done is also there's something called the Moscow framework, which is MSCW. But we say Moscow so we can pronounce it, right? So the Moscow means what are the must-haves, the things that must be in this release, right? And then the S means what are the things that we should have. What you have and what you should have are not the same. What you must have is critical. What you should have is something that you should, but you can make do it. Then what you could have is something that you could have it, but you can do away with it if you shouldn't have it. But what you must have is there's no non-negotiable. It must be done, right? The should have is things that you should do, but you can make do it. What you could, so what you could is not as important as what you should. And what you should is not as important as what you must. So that's where the Moscow framework comes from, right? And then the other stuff that we have the backlog, and then we have the things that you put in the icebox. They are nice to have bells and whistles, like when I animate, I click this thing, it should play a sound, or it should give me like a ding, it should give me that. Those are nice to have to make the app sound cool, or it should vibrate and all that stuff. Those are cool things to have, but we could have that, but should we have it? Is it a must that we have that? No. So in this release, we must get these things out. Then when we get those musts out, then we prioritize on what we should be doing next. If we still have time, then we can add the codes. Does that answer your question? Okay. I hope that answers your question, Simone. Okay,
Yep.
so
Yes, it does. Thank you.
you're
Thank you.
welcome. Okay, so I just want to show this again to Anna and Yusuf. To I'm gonna again with Anna and Yusuf. I'm at your disposal to work with you on a daily basis, starting from next week to like get you up to speed. And also, I would like for you to take part in the homework. The first assignment was pretty easy. The second one is very involving, so it takes a lot of time. So I'm not surprised that Simone is not done. It takes a lot of time, but it reinforces what has been taught so far. And this is a project assignment that I encouraged group work. It's a collaborative effort because it's something that needs to be done as a team, right? So, I'm more than happy if you work together as a team to get that done anytime. So,
So
yeah,
does
go ahead.
that mean we're extending it?
What's that?
So are you implying that you're willing to extend the group portion a few more days?
Yes, because I know Simone is not done. And are you done yourself?
I did the first half and the user persona profile. I did those two.
Okay.
So
So there's a few more left.
Yeah, I still think it would help
yeah,
for, whoever wants to join as a group, or if not, me and Falone will just do it. We just thought we were pressed for time, and she's
Yeah.
working too. So,
No, yeah,
yeah.
I totally get it. It's
But
we've
been doing the majority of it solo, but we need, now that we know we have a little bit more time, we can schedule, and do the group stuff and probably get through it faster.
exactly. And then you also have my the user, the office hours. You have my Calendly. Put some time on it, and we can also work together as a group, right? So I'm going to reiterate some of the stuff that we've talked up on the customer development.
Nathan, I'm sorry to cut you off before you continue. Just on that point, I would love to join and work with you guys on that just to get a feel of like what's going on. So, I should I just drop my phone, like my phone number in the chat, and like you,
no, message us on
Yes.
Slack.
Yeah, you could drop. You don't have to do that because I'm going to add you on the Slack.
Okay.
And also the email I sent you almost all the videos, and the slides. I know I still owe you guys some slides. It's been, as Anna and Shante can tell you, I've been like since last week. I've just been in and out of meetings, and the homework was very involving, and I didn't want to just kind of shortchange you by just giving you something simple. So it took time to put it all together. And so, Yusuf, what I'll do is I will make sure that you're in the Slack. There's another person, Romy, who didn't join today, but she's needs to also get caught up. And we can have a group session because we're doing it together. And you realize that as a product manager, you don't work in isolation. You don't work in a silo. You work in a group. So that's why we want you to pull resources together. And then this homework, I also give resources and references where you're able to really gather information. And I'm using a product that we're building. I think I showed some of it to you, Yusuf, but that will be like drum home how the product was built, and you can also speak to that in your interviews, like when you go to the whole product development lifecycle, because this part is where you get all your user stories. This is where you get all the data points. This is where you now test. How do you talk to people? How do you interview them? Where do you find them? So what I'll do is,
and just to add, just to add to that too, because I'm interviewing and I didn't get a chance to tell you, but Meta got rescheduled. I still don't have them, not on their schedule, but I passed the screening with Google. Remember when I talked to you?
Well, I don't doubt you're gonna pass, Simone.
No, we went to it was the technical interview that I had. That was part 2. No, I didn't say you doubted it.
No, I'm just saying that I know, you will get it.
I'm telling
Well, how
everybody
nice
that's
is
on the
you?
yeah, the
that?
ones that are on the call, they did ask the scenarios and they are definitely looking. I'm saying this out loud for the students in the class because I just went through it. They
Yeah.
are asking you pretty much most of the stuff that Nathan is talking about, except, I had a specific example and
Exactly.
was given, and I had to just draw it, go through it from scratch on what I would do, who the users would be, why did I choose the users, what if I ran into a problem on the website. So I'm just saying that to say these are real life questions that employers are asking, and everybody shouldn't answer them differently, but in your own words. But yeah, so they are looking for that. So I did pass the technical part 1. They
Thank
told
you.
me today. So I'm on
Congratulations.
to the next. And it was just, and here's a good thing. They told me areas to improve on for the next session.
Yeah, make sure you schedule another, because, again, thanks, Simone. Simone used the office hours. We got together, we did the prepping and everything. And, she's made it to the next round. Make sure you schedule another one whenever you need to. Shantae does it to, use it to your advantage, right? Because that's what's going to help you. And what I'm doing here is as Simone just confirmed, I'm going through the scenarios that you will be asked on interviews, right? These are the very things you'll be quizzed on, because they want to know, how did you build this? What are the steps you went through, right? So,
and Nathan, I think it's good to give an example and walk through it, because that is exactly what they're asking. That's what they asked of me, and I had to walk through everything. And he was helping me. He said, let's brainstorm it together. But of course, I was the main one talking when I, said first, I would just make sure you ask qualifying questions. Don't just jump in to answer the question. Think about it. That's one thing, because they said a lot of people do that and make that mistake.
Yeah. So
of how you answer a question.
Yeah, because people just make assumptions, and they deliberately ask the question vaguely, because they want to know if you're going to actually ask clarifying questions. Clarifying questions shows that you're not just making assumptions. They just don't ask you a question and then you just start off rattling off you have to ask clarifying questions. By asking this question, what do you mean, right? And are there any other assumptions I need to make? Do we have all the resources we need? Like when you ask those questions, they start taking notes. Okay, she's thinking. She's actually, doing a 360 inventory of the problem, and not just answering like a parrot, like someone who just has read a book and just regurgitating what they've been told, right? So those are very important. So for me, I'm more concerned about drumming this customer development and the market research, because those are very critical. They're not going to ask you what is product management, what are the types of product managers. Those are elementary and rudimentary. They're not going to be asking you those questions. This is the customer research, the understanding your market, turning those research from research into insights, being able to summarize your research findings, and then you being able to pull out key insights that inform the product development process. And then how do you validate whatever you have come up with? So identifying the assumptions and the risk, and you validate them. And how do you validate them? Through prototypes, minimum viable products. So I'm willing to give you an extension till next week, so I can get Yusuf and Anna up to speed, and then I can also give you the chance to collaborate as a team. And I'm going to continue to share some more insights in the product customer development, to help the team. So yeah, I'm happy for you, Simone.
Look, I'm still stressed out because there's 5 more interviews.
I know.
They are not
that's
with
the same thing.
with 5 different people, so it's going to be different questions, and yeah, you just have to know how to think and communicate it out and walk them through what you. That's all they want to know is what you did. Yeah, they're not going to ask you about what you did, your prior job. They don't care about that right now. It's just all the scenarios.
Yep.
But at least they try to brainstorm with you, but they see if you're going in the right direction, because they know you're only on the phone for 40 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. So, going back to this, and I'm doing this again just for Yusuf and Anna to basically kind of drive home the whole thing about customer development, right? So there's an aspect of customer development where you actually, need to talk to the customers. You need to go out of the office, so to speak, and go out there and, well, going out of the office could be going out into the wild. So I shared a class earlier, products like Apple, the iPhone, and software, right? Steve Jobs actually had product managers and teams go to the major cities. They would send people to New York, San Francisco, Chicago, ATL, you name it, to go on the trains, to go on the buses and observe how people are using their phones. That's how they realized that people, how they observe, right? And through that observation and taking notes, they had ethnographic studies, asking the right questions, so that they can unearth what the users actually need. And the user persona is more like an aggregation of the user group understanding, because not everybody's your customer. When you build software, it's not for everybody. The biggest way to make a mistake is to think that everybody needs to use the software you're building. You have to identify who are your core users, who really needs to use your product, and identify the questions to ask them. It has to be very open-ended and remove a lot of bias, so you don't try to sell your own ideas. Because some people go out there to try to validate their own assumptions. So they say the top reasons customer development is not usually it's underutilized is because people are usually biased towards their own great ideas. We had this idea as a moment of epiphany, and you think this is what it is, and we are, like they say, every mother loves their baby. Or from where I'm from in Ghana, we say that a monkey is ugly, but the mother still loves it, right? So we love our idea because it comes from us, right? And we want to always defend our ideas. So that leads us into a blind, what's the word you use? A blind spot where we fail to see the trees from the forest. And when we have a blind spot, we try to validate that and make it right, because we always want to be right. So we are biased towards our own great ideas. And also sometimes people in the industry think that we have enough in industry knowledge, so that entitles us to skip the validating process, or validating those ideas and just jump to creating products. So, hey, I have this idea. We have Facebook, right? Snapchat is rolling out these cool features. You know what? Let's do it. Hey, let's get our best engineers together, blah, blah, blah. Let's roll it out. Facebook has rolled out so many features in an attempt. I wanted to try to acquire Snapchat for billions, and they refused. Facebook now went into trying to recreate their features. Some of the things like Reels, they took from TikTok. Messages that disappear came from Snapchat. You have reactions. They stole it from Path. So you name it. There's so many features that they take from different places. But before they got to all these, they did something called Slingshot. They rolled it out. It failed. It didn't get that much traction. They came up with so many things that failed. So having that industry knowledge makes you think you become biased, and you feel like you can skip that validating process, because you find out that companies like Google is a multi-billion-dollar corporation, and they have so many world-class engineers. But Google tried to go social. They tried it with Buzz failed. They tried it with Google Plus, you name it, that failed. So the fact that you have the industry knowledge doesn't mean that you just get a team and start building. If they had just spent some time to do some validation, they would have realized that they had a very differentiated group of asset of products that people will use irrespective of whether it has a social feature or not. But they saw that Facebook was growing wildly. There was a time when Facebook was the second most searched or used product, right next to Google and YouTube. So they got scared. So they started to do Google Plus, Google Buzz, and Google this and Google that. And if they had done some validation and gone through the surveys and during the whole process, they probably would have realized that they don't need everything, right? So that's what I'm trying to drive over here. And also, another reason why customer development is underutilized or not done is that we don't know how to find customers before we have a product, right? And it's important that we know where to find customers. We talked about that. I'm going to show you how and where to find potential customers. It depends on where the company is. Is it a brand new product or is it an existing product? If you have existing products, you can look at your current user base, find your very active users and target them to get them to become early adopters and give you early feedback. That's why they have what they call the alpha or beta stage of an app. Users are usually forgiven if you say it's beta. When it's in beta mode, it's not that polished, so users can excuse the mistakes. When things break, they understand that it's a beta mode. And there's that pride to know that I'm the first to try Gmail. So, and contribute to its development. So those are ways that you can use. Another thing is that there's a lot of information on why customer development is important, but not a lot of information on how to do it. So as a result, most people don't even know where to start. So it doesn't matter that you have a team of smart people who know the industry. There's no shortage of failed products built by great teams with strong track records and industry expertise. There's a product that launched during the pandemic. It had so many millions, I said billions poured into it. It had people like Meg Whitman from eBay. She took eBay from a garage two-person operation to $1 billion corporation. She worked with HP and all these companies. And they had all these heavy hitters. They launched it. Do you guys know this product? Hello?
Ask your question again. I didn't hear it.
I was talking about the product the streaming service that came out. So it was
no.
called Quibi, right? Like Quick Bite, right? Quibi, which is a kind of weird name. I would have told them that would have failed anyway.
The one with the 1 minute bites?
Yeah, it was like Quibi was like kind of trying to be like how do you call it? A competitor to TikTok. So it's like a hybrid of TikTok and what was the other one? I forgot the name. So it's like TikTok and trying to show like short video clips for people to watch, right? They raised so much money, but it failed miserably. They had the CEO of SKG, Jeffrey Katzenberg, Meg Whitman, like they were heavy hitters, and they rolled it out, and Quibi still failed because they just figured that they had an industry expertise, did not take the time to really do the product research to really understand if there's even a need for it, right? Everyone has Disney Plus, there's CNN Plus, everybody has a Plus, Hulu Plus, and they just figured we can also do a Plus and we will survive. And they just failed miserably. So this is why it's really important that you do adequate customer. Now, when you even go to the site, doesn't even exist because it's now defunct. It just didn't work out. So it shut down like in 2020 because they realized that just 6 months after launch, and Quibi shut down because it just wasn't, they were not making money. And they spent over 1 billion, and they had working on original content in the first year, and it still failed. So there's a saying that 9 out of 10 startups fail. That's a 90% fail rate. So you don't want to spend 2 years or 5 years building a product and then having it fail and burn all this money, right? That is why customer development is critical. So most likely, most business plans are loaded with a lot of opinions and guesses, and then sprinkle with some, dash of vision and hope that we hope, this thing will work out. But customer development allows you to validate, or invalidate your assumptions, and being able to build some quick MVP, test it out, and quickly know what users want and don't, and then you can cut them out and iterate to get to where you want to go. And even Falona is saying that she's never heard of Quibi before because it wasn't that relevant. There was one that came out, it was called Milk. The founder of Napster was behind it. So Sean Fanning was part of it. They poured in like millions because these guys, they because of their what they've done before, they are easily believed, right? So when they start, so Milk failed, then they started something called Airtime with Sean Parker. Sean Parker was the vice president of Facebook when it started, when it was in a dorm and in Silicon Valley in apartments. He's the one that led them to some of the investors and all that. And Airtime failed miserably. So just prior success is not indication of future success. That's what customer development is really, really critical. So, some of the benefits of customer development is that for product managers, designers, and engineers, doing customer development will help you to increase the chances of success for your next product, right? It increases the chances because it allows you to quickly iterate through and figure out what works and what doesn't without pouring so much money. And also in large organizations, it helps, customer development is good for both large organizations and also for startups because product-centric people in large organizations are struggling to help the company move faster and work smarter. So having that customer development cycle embedded in your whole process, you build an MVP, which is a small part of the product. You measure it by asking questions and getting the data points. You learn from what you just did, get the insights from it, and then you introduce it again. So from the idea, validate the idea, build a quick MVP, and then you measure it out in a small section of the user base, get the data sets to support the ideas, you learn from it, and it's like a loop, a build, measure, learn cycle, right? And that is how you can iterate through the customer development process. And then some of the three, good qualities to have is, or background to help you in practicing the customer development is, you have to be, prioritize learning, right? You have to have a ruthless pursuit of learning. That's one. It is very uncomfortable to ask questions that might prove your idea wrong, but it's essential for the success of the product. So, when you've thought of an idea and you think it's so great, and you go out there and then people start poking holes in it, it's like kind of writing a PhD thesis where you go out there and you have to now present to your committee and they will poke holes in your thesis, right? They will ask you questions. So have you considered this? How about that? And why not that, right? So they ask you all these questions so that you can refine and define what you're building. And that's a typical example of how product development or customer development goes. So by going through that iterative process, you are more or less refining. And for each mistake or each lesson learned, it brings you much closer to what? Your desired outcome, right? Because you're making a lot of iterations, and that helps you to more or less get yourself closer to your desired outcome. I don't know if you can see my screen. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, what do you see now?
Crunchbase.
Okay. So a few years ago, I was part of a competition And I mean, I was not even registered for it. They had some free beer and pizza. So I showed up to participate. And then they asked me if I had an idea, and I just came up with an idea called Park Here. And that idea was basically Airbnb for parking. So if you live in metro areas like New York, where it's really hard to find parking, as you drive around looking for parking, you find out, people have like empty driveways. Business like Walmart, Target, Home Depot, they have huge parking spots that are usually free, but you can't park there. So Park Here was like an idea to allow users, so homes can, just like how Airbnb, I can rent a room or an apartment to people. I was looking to basically do the same for parking spots. So there's a place called Hoboken, which is like right next to New York City, is a pretty packed city. That's where young people go out to have fun and meet, socialize and all that. And it's very hard to find parking. Sometimes you be driving around for 15 to 20 minutes or almost half an hour just trying to find parking. New York, finding parking is so difficult. So the idea was to create something that will allow users to quickly find parking. So, created this idea, and it was called the Lean Startup Machine. And that was right out of Newark, New Jersey. So I formed a team. If you go to my LinkedIn, this was the team that I was a part of. I don't know if you can see my LinkedIn. Can you see my LinkedIn?
Yeah.
Okay, so that was me and these two Brazilian guys that joined me to build the product. So long and short, we had to go out of the building. This is the idea we had. We went out to the train station. We went to different places. We had our questions that we were out to ask to validate and invalidate this assumption. Will people actually rent out their driveways? Will people, what are some of the inherent issues or risks that we have not looked at, right? So that is, when we say the ruthless pursuit of learning, it is uncomfortable to ask questions that might prove my idea wrong, but it's essential that I find out now. Then I think, oh yeah, it's a great, how many of you think that Park Here is a great idea? So many people thought it was a great idea. Doesn't mean then I just, get a computer and start writing software code, blah, blah, blah. And then I have to pay people that are writing the code. I have to pay the designers, I have to pay the infrastructure to host it and then launch it, only to find out that it's not gonna work, right? So we went outside, had questionnaires, and then you have to be comfortable with uncertainty because customer development is not predictable, it's unpredictable. You don't know what you're going to learn until you start. So you need to be able to think on your feet and adapt as you uncover new information. So some of the things that we came up with was that we have to find out the market is a two-sided market. There is a demand side and a supply side. The demand is people that need parking. And then we also found out that people that need parking are commuters. They usually work in cities that they don't live in. So they need to have some sort of a way to be able to park and ride and not have to pay money at like a parking deck where they pay like through their nose. And then find the supply. The supply will be people like, let's say I work and I leave home around 7, I don't get back to like 6. So I can list my driveway from 8 a.m. to about 5 p.m. That anybody can park there for X amount of dollars and make extra money. So the goal was to validate or invalidate that idea. So being able to go out there, one thing that I found out was that what happens if someone breaks into the car whilst they're gone? Have we thought about that? Who takes liability for when that happens? So we thought about having insurance, which Airbnb also has. So you can sign up for some sort of liability insurance that covers you for that period. And then we also find out like what happens when people don't move their car on time. So there are all these things that you're going to uncover. So I'm just showing this as an example of like a product development cycle that I went through. And, we won first place. So I don't know if you can see my screen still, but I won first place. It was a great, we got written up in the papers. It was a fun thing that got me. So this is the winning team. Me with my team, we were going out there and pitching. I think that's, given the ideas, the judges, the runner-up, and then the winning team was us, Park here, that won, and that led me into the NGIT accelerator. That also I won that one as well because I did a lot of customer development in that aspect, and then I had to take some classes at the NGIT. So it was a fun thing. They gave me the check, and of course I just spent it. I didn't build the business, but it was a nice experience.
Did you build Park here?
No, I did not. Why?
Why not?
Well, there was a lot involved to get it done. So any reason why you think I should have built it?
Sounds like a great idea.
That's true. A lot of people said the same thing, that I should have built it. I remember when I was interviewing with Amazon, one of the guys said the same thing. He's like, why didn't you just continue building it? That's a great idea. I'm like, I know, but I mean, for me, it was just a weekend thing to do to build my customer development skills. And, it was great. One other thing too was that there was actually a VC that was looking to invest, but they had already invested in not a similar product, but there's a company called Spot Hero, and there's one called Parking Panda. Those are popular in the New York area. And Parking Panda was in the Maryland, the DC, Maryland, Virginia area. And so their idea was more like helping you find parking with the parking garages. And when they have empty spots, they list it. So that was a totally different idea, but they were still in the parking space. And we also happened to be in the parking space. So it was a conflict of interest. So they, backed out of investing. And, my co-founders, well, it was my idea. The guys that were supposed to have been helping build, one of them ended up going back to school to finish his master's, and then I went on to medical school. He's a doctor now. So it was like, it was a nice experience to have, but, it was definitely something worth looking into some more. So, yeah, so the main thing here, and I'm just going through this because I just want to get you the background information. We have the videos and everything, so that will help you with the homework, the assignments. And if you have any questions, I'm always available to, we have the video on this. It goes more in depth with the slides and everything, which I'm going to provide to you as well. So that can support the whole process. So the whole customer development will help you to identify what your assumptions are concerning the product, and being able to come up with a problem hypothesis. And then from there, you're able to narrow down to your target customer profile, which customer base will fit your ideal profile for that particular product. And then, you build, because everybody has a plan and everybody thinks their idea is great. There's a saying, Mike Tyson says that everybody has a plan until, like when they go boxing, every boxer has a plan until they get punched in the mouth, right? So sometimes you have an idea, you go for your training, you know that, okay, I got this, this is gonna work, until you get launch and go out to the field, and then you get some left field, something you didn't even plan just hits you guys, and it could be the death of the company. But when you go through this process, you're able to now build and be able to validate or invalidate your ideas and assumptions, and be able to cut out a lot of, that's where the Shante, when it comes about reducing costs, because time is a cost, money is a cost. So when you do proper customer development, this is why product managers are very critical and very important, because you save the company so much money that could be lost by making sure that you're not building unnecessary products, right? So the lean, customer development comes from the Lean Startup method group or methodology, where it follows the manufacturing principles from Toyota, and it stresses eliminating waste from processes by making sure the end product is something that the customer actually wants. So you, the product manager, are there to say no, of course, respectfully, but say no with data to support. When the VP thinks or the CEO or whoever higher up says we should do X, you need to not just take it and go do it. Because when it fails and you lose 20 million, you will be fired. Your team might still stay, they'll just find a new product manager. But when you're able to support data to say, you said X, but I did this research, and when the data shows Y. And so you pursue Y, and that makes the company hundreds of millions. That's when promotion comes in, the company grows and all that. That's why product managers get paid a lot. You're like the mini CEO of that product, but you have a lot of power, but you cannot fire or hire. You only have the power to guide through persuasion. And you say no by supporting with data, right? So the customer development process helps you to streamline your product development process, and ensures that you're creating products that the customer wants, and is for both startups and mature existing companies, because everybody needs to know what they're building is really the right thing, right? And the whole goal is knowing, how do you develop products that people will actually buy? That's one. And then how do you validate the product? So not just having the idea, but how to validate the product idea and the company idea through the customer development research process before you waste months and millions on a product or service that no one needs or wants. And then you have to have the right interviewing skills, asking open-ended interview questions, allows you to be fast and flexible research techniques that will help you learn, one, your prospective customers' behavior. Because when you're asking open-ended questions, but not questions that are biased towards an outcome, trying to validate something, but you walk into a series of questions, you're able to unearth your customer's behavior, and then you're also able to identify problems that need to be solved, not what you think needs to be done. You're able to unearth what actually frustrates them, as that is your users, and what actually delights them about the kind of product offering. And be prepared, because the insights that you gather may they may validate or invalidate your assumptions, but then every invalidation would lead to what we call a pivot. And that will help you reach the aha moment that would inspire truly great products. So that is the core of product or customer development. So the validate or validating your hypothesis is done by talking to the right people, defining who are the right people to be talking to. And then you learn how to conduct successful customer interviews, and then detecting your customers' behaviors, the pain points and constraints, and then turn that interview insights into building an MVP, which is a minimal viable product, which is the most stripped down version of your product that you can quickly share with your team to validate what customers will use and buy. And then you adapt the customer development strategies for your company, whether it's an existing company or startup or large companies. We all need this skill. And so it's a tool for a product manager to turn understanding the customer into competitive advantage to build the right products that will make a difference.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was just doing a quick recap for, Anna. I think Yusuf dropped out of the call, and Simone, but it's on the video, it's on the slides, and I am, I'm going to give an extension. Shantae, you're done with the homework, correct?
Yes,
Everything?
yeah,
Okay. So please feel free to email that to me. I would hold up from sharing it now, the answers. So if you could be kind enough, please feel free to be a subject matter expert and help Anna and the new people to, you can also ask me if you need that help, but I'm available to basically work with you to, make it happen.
I'm like I told you, I'm almost done with the other half. I was just stuck on certain questions that I'm still researching.
Okay.
And I should be done in a few days, not the entire week.
Sure.
Because I already did the first half. The I was kind of confused on the group project, kind of. I was trying to figure out how you want us to conduct this market research together. Um, I might schedule a coffee chat, not coffee chat.
Right.
um, yes, tomorrow, if you have time tomorrow or Monday.
I
And I
think
told you,
Monday will be better.
okay, I
Monday.
only said tomorrow because I might have time tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
I would
Okay.
have to look at your schedule. So the user persona profiles that we make, you want us to email them to you?
So they'll be part of the answers that you actually will be given.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
what I'll say is this. Shantae has been very diligent and she's been, she's done. So feel free. You can ask questions from her, right? Yes, I'm also available if you need to like set up office hours. We can coordinate something. Most likely, I'm available starting from Monday. Monday anytime after like 1 p.m. Eastern, I'm available all day, right? So feel free to reach out to Shantae, compare notes. It's, you're not like getting like grades per se. It's more to reinforce what we're learning in the product, right?
I'm not really sure she has time, so I'll just wait till Monday
Okay,
afternoon and I'll just schedule something on my lunch break and just do that.
okay. Sounds good. Sounds good. Yeah, I'm just showing the pictures of the park here presentation. I don't know if you guys can see it.
Yeah, I see it. Uh,
Yeah,
yeah, I see the red thing for the location. Yeah, okay.
yeah. I mean, maybe someday I can really look into it some more and build it out. I mean, this was like 8 years ago, so I've gotten a bit more good at building actual MVPs and having a team to build it. So it's something that I might consider. But it's always great to win something, especially when it comes to the tech. Yeah.
Okay. This is a reminder. It's not for me, it's for Simone. Um, Simone asked you in Slack to send her the PM ebook.
Oh, yes, yes, yes,
So I'm just reminding you, can you please
yes.
send that to her or just put it in the resources tab so everybody can get it? I think that would be easier actually.
Yeah, that'll be easier. Yeah.
Yeah, if you
I-
could do
I'll,
that
I'll,
tonight.
yeah, I will make a note here and I also reach out to her to make sure that is done. Yeah, I
Okay,
will.
I'll let her know you said you're gonna drop it because
Yeah,
her and I spoke about this a few days ago, and I told her, maybe she should just ask you for it.
yeah.
um,
So yeah, like I said, it's been a pretty
Um, I have too many questions. I don't know if that's the right place and time for it.
okay.
There's just too much information running around in my head.
Okay. That's understandable. That's definitely understandable. So we can talk offline if you want to.
Yeah,
Yeah,
please.
we can talk offline. But yeah, so I mean basically um like I said earlier, which I've shared with a class before, when you talk about product management, in short, you're looking at somebody who's who's the strategist, the person who's in charge. The buck literally stops at you. When things do well, the whole team takes the praise. When it go bad, you get blamed, right? So you lead the product, but engineers build it. But it's not as simple as that. That okay, you lead and they build, because both roles have very nuanced expertise and strong opinions about how to make the product better. So engineering might have their own take versus from what you think. And then the business stakeholders, your VP of engineering or chief product officer, CEO, they all have their own ideas. So you take all these and you are responsible, because the responsibilities can become blurry if you are, trying to dictate to the engineering team what they need to do without really, giving them a reason why things should be done a certain way, right? And engineers also sometimes like to encroach and say, what you should be in your role and what features should be built next. So the teams need clarity. They need clear understanding of who's responsible for decisions and tasks at each stage of the product lifecycle. And you, the product manager, should tackle the why. That's the product strategy. And then you also take it on the what. That is, what features for the product needs to be built. Engineers should determine the how. That's the technical implementation of features. And then together, you as a product manager should collaborate on the when. Like, you work together to decide when things will come into play. So you find out there's going to be some tension. There's not all tension is bad. There's some healthy tension, which with engineering can be good, because if you're both parties are engaged in delivering the optimal solutions to customers and are respectful of each other's expertise, there'll be opinions that come out that will be very different from what you think, but it's just there to strengthen and make sure you're making the right decisions, right? So decisions are collaborative and they require input from both sides. So you have to get what we call buy-in, and you always get buy-in by showing the reasons why things need to be done, why something should have been done now, and all that, right? And this is an opportunity to push it at each other to think more critically and explore new approaches to the problem solving and come up with some innovative solutions together. So you're not going to go in there and just become a yes man. We need to build this. Yes, man, we're going to build it. We need to build that. Yes. We have our computers that just rolled out this new feature. Yes. You have to look, you need to know what your team can handle and what they can't. What's the velocity? How much storage are they able to go through in every cycle, right? So you should be able to say, yes, it's a great idea, but if in order to do this, we'll have to get 3 more developers, one in AI, one AI and machine learning, one database expert, and blah, blah, and all that. So you have to be able to push back. If you don't tell them, they're just going to assume that you are the magician and you can make it happen. But it takes 2 to tango. So you have to be able to communicate that any dependencies have to be, set forth immediately. And as a product manager, you set the product strategy, right? You have to have a clear product vision with measurable goals and a well-defined initiative. So you know what the product initiative is. You have to know, the shared goals, which are critical for alignment, and you have to give everyone a common direction to march towards. So piggyback on the orchestra analogy, you set the vision on where the song is going, or you know what everybody's supposed to play. You have the roadmap in front of you, and you guide the whole process through communication. So you communicate the strategic direction of your product engineers, and by visualizing it all on the product roadmap. So you put out a roadmap that shows how many quarters it will take, how many sprints, and how many. So if you take 4 quarters, that means you can get it done in a year, right? But if it will take more than that, it means it's a 2-year roadmap. So if that work can be broken down and built quickly in like 2 or 3 sprint cycles, and then get some valuable data to test and help that guide the next iterative process, right? So when engineering understands why they're building something and how it serves business and customer objectives, they can implement solutions better. And being able to, we're going to work also closely on how to work with engineering teams and how to, understand what their motivation is, how to be able to clarify responsibilities and the areas of overlap, because it's not always like black and white. There's some gray areas. Simone asked a very great question about how do you prioritize the backlog, right? How do you, define features? So this is an area that we have to work on, defining features. So from our customer development, we gather insights, both qualitative and quantitative, and that guides us in, getting those requirements. So product managers are responsible for gathering requirements and providing the engineering team with well-defined features. So engineers cannot go out there and do the surveying and asking the questions. So that falls on you to do the research and then come back with what must be built versus what should be built. Or in some cases, what should be built should be better, more the focus than what could be built, right? So the engineers who use these requirements to build the features, the clearly defined requirements help them to streamline their efforts. And so it's a working together collaboratively on a user story mapping, which is a visual exercise that helps you outline requirements and prioritize what should be built next. Prioritizing the backlog, we're going to go into that some more. And then you have to also, there's a great way to bring more objectivity to feature prioritization using some sort of a scorecard, and the prioritization framework that you want to employ. You have to use a consistent framework so that the results are always consistent. And then planning releases, that falls on you as a product manager. When do you release the product? Your product strategy into a release plan. So you have to have that all on the roadmap and coordinate with the cross-functional teams against that timeline. So basically, you're driving initiative, you're driving engineering, sprint planning, identifying the acceptance criteria for the feature completion. What is called done? When something is really done, how do you define that something is done? So you have to track, where the team can track all the work involved in the release plan, so you can help keep everyone accountable to their commitments. That's why we have something like Jira that allows you to see what is being done and what is left to be completed, right? So those are all important. Then once all that is done, you have to also track the progress, monitor the progress of the work to ensure that the team can deliver on time. So you use the road mapping tool to plan, prioritize, and track features and releases. And the engineers also can see the same thing, track their own work in a workflow management tool, such as Jira, Rally, AHA, whatever they have to use. The version control. So these are things that you have to know. Anna has been in some of the meetings where we talk about GitHub, use for version controls, code review tools, and deployment environments. And then, syncing everybody up with their product planning tools and development tools so that you can all be on the same page. So as this is going on, you're building relationships, right? You're building a relationship with legal, you're building a relationship with engineering managers, with design team. So you wear many hats as a product manager, in short. So I just wanted to go over that quickly to give you some more insights, Anna.
Okay, so the product manager also acts as the project manager, right?
No. So the project manager is the function of the product manager.
Yeah, so that's what I mean. Like, in your work as a product manager, you may be doing all the work that a project manager does if the project is to deliver a product, right?
Yes. In some companies, when the company is bigger, they may have a dedicated product manager and a dedicated project manager. But a product manager does all that they do and some. And some of the work, because project managers are not responsible for customer development. They're not responsible for prioritization. They are only responsible for looking at the resources that they have, looking at what the timeline is, how long it's supposed to take, how much it will cost, making sure that those that are going to do it are available to do it. It's more about the time, when, cost cut, savings. That's what project managers do. So there's something called strategy, and there's something called tactical. The project managers are more in the tactical side, that is driving the program to completion, right? And they don't focus on like writing user stories. They don't focus on understanding the engineering aspect. They just know that, okay, this is a project. We have a deadline by Q2 next year. We're just wrapping up Q1. Q3. Q4 starts in October. So we know how many engineers we have, what are the salary requirements, when is Shantae on vacation, or who's planned to take over that, those kind of stuff. How much it will cost. The whole project is supposed to cost 5 million. So we have this, in this project, we need 3 front-end developers. We need 2 front-end developers. We need 1 back-end developer, 2 QAs, 1 project manager for this feature. And then you are the one making sure that those teams are all working together. But the product manager does more than that. You do strategy, understanding the business aspect, understanding the, even working with design, working with legal. Like product managers do a whole lot more, but project management is a subset of some of the things that a product manager might do if the company is a startup and you have to like do the work of a project manager. But typically your work is way different from that of a project manager. Hope that makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a lot. I'm not gonna say, give you the false hope that, oh, it's a cakewalk, but it's more, it's intuitive. If you are someone who are naturally a people person, you have empathy, you have what it takes to really do research and understand, to listen to your customers, and then know how to take that data and turn that into insights and be able to prioritize that in a backlog and have that consistent loop of having data come in that you can validate and invalidate. And so your whole goal is you have an ear to the ground. You're listening outside to your customers and identifying their needs. You're really hearing what they're really saying. What are their pains? You hear that, and we really wish this will have this feature so that it could do this, right? So that's what you, the product manager, is doing. Project managers don't care about that aspect, but you as a product manager cares about your customer. You are the translator or the voice of the customer. So like, assuming everybody on this call is American, they visit Ghana and they only speak English. I am the product manager then. I translate whatever they need to the local language, right? I have to have my ear, they are my customers, they are my stakeholders. So I have to know what Shantae really wants to get out of her trip, what Simone really wants out of her trip, what are her needs, what are her pain points? And then I help her connect with the right resources. Once she doesn't understand something, I have to translate it from English to whatever language that I can speak. So that in this case, the product manager becomes take things from common language and translate into tech, and then take tech jargons and break it down to common language so that they can understand, oh, okay, I know what you mean. So when I say API, I can, as a product manager, I can explain to my customers, the end user, that, okay, so API is, imagine people like companies like Uber, DoorDash, or even weather apps. They build products that allow people to order food or whatever they order through the platform, but then they need a map. In order to build that, they have to create their own map. That's a whole startup on its own. How do they do this without having to rebuild their own Google Maps or their own Apple Maps or their own Mapbox or OpenStreetMaps or whatever? They do that by integrating with an existing third-party mapping tool like Google Maps, or by integrating with Open Maps or Mapbox. How do they do it? There's something called API, an application programming interface. So think about going to a restaurant. When you make a request, you need this food and all that. First of all those food items are stored in the back in the database, so to speak. So think of the back of the restaurant as a database. And you come and sit down, they give you a menu. You look through and say, I want the chicken with this and that and that and that. So the server takes your order and relates it to what? The back of house, and they receive that, and then they prepare your dish. When it's ready, they send it through the server back to you. Same way, software, you can make a request. They have a menu, you look through. I would like to use X, I would like to use Y. So then the middleware makes that connection from the inputs that you give in the argument in the software interface, sends it back to the server, it queries it, finds the relevant information, and then brings it back to you. So what it brings back is the prepared food. So every event, like a click, when you click a button, when you fill out a form, when you do any event, those are listened by the application, translates it back to the back end, and then puts out a result. So same thing, I want rum and coke, or I want Long Island iced tea, or I want this, I list everything I need, and then the middleware sends it to the back of office and produces it. So that's like, you being the bridge between the end user and the tech. So the API is simply what it is. So that's how you should be pretty conversant with the technology that you work with. You don't necessarily have to know how to code or be technically savvy, but you should know enough to be able to explain what you're doing, to add value to the product you're building. I hope that makes some sense.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. And, typically product managers and project managers, they work together, but they have very distinct roles. One sets the vision, goals, and business trajectory of a product, and one leads the multiple projects to make sure those goals are reality. So in short, you are the visionary, but the project manager is the one who executes, make sure that everything that you pass on to them is getting done. So they are managing multiple projects. You are typically managing one product, and they are part of your outfit to make things happen.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they are complementary roles, but very distinct.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot. It's not a cakewalk. It's not a walk in the park, but I feel that there's more autonomy within product management because you have that flexibility to apply it to so many facets of life or industry out there, right? So that's me, what I think. And also it pays a whole lot more.
Hey, okay.
Yeah. Okay. So yes, there is an extension. Please feel free to collaborate, those that are done, if you'd be kind enough to work with those that want to gain more insights, that will be helpful. And please use the office hours anytime. I'm available, and I'll be available starting from Monday after 2 p.m. But in the meantime, you have work with each other. It's open book. There's a lot of resources that I've shared that you can read up on and then apply towards the whole assignment. It's just to reiterate and drum in, reinforce what we have done so far, because this is the core of product management. This is what sets you apart from everything else: the research, the understanding, talking to them, surveys, those NPS, the promoter score, those are exit survey interviews, the pre-product launch interviews, doing all that good stuff. So those are very, very important. Yeah. Yep. So do you have any other questions so far concerning the homework? It's and I totally understand that it's a lot, and most of you are working and busy, mothers, everything, life. So I'm give you some time. to really get things done, and then we can progress accordingly. Any other questions?
No, not from me.
Any concerns? If not, I will.
No,
Go ahead.
I think they were brung up already.
Okay,
Simone brung them up earlier.
yeah. Okay. So I think I will motion to end this meeting right now. Please work together. I will send a response to Simone in the Slack, and please work together, Filoni with Simone. I think she's not done yet, and Shante will be more than glad to help you as well. And Anna, please just dive in. And it's like drinking water from a fire hose, but that's the only way you can really get up to speed.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
All righty. Good night, Nathan. Thank you.
You too. Bye, Simone. Bye, Shante.
Oh, bye.
And Anna, we can talk on the phone. Feel free to call me if you want to.
Okay. Let me call
right.
you.
All right.
Oh, Nathan.
Yes.
So there's no, I'm just making sure there's no,